So the exam may ask you about interesting functions, and we've seen them, but here is a list of the ones you should absolutely know for the exam. The ref function, the get attribute, find and map, import value, join, sub, and the condition functions. So let's go ahead and have a quick memory refresher on what they are. The ref function is to me the most important. It used to be referencing parameters, and in case you reference a parameter, it will return the value of that parameter. So we've seen this in practice when you had the security group description. And resources, so if you reference another resource in your CloudFormation template, it will return the physical ID of the underlying resource. So for example, if we reference a EC2 instance, we will get the EC2 instance ID. Now the shorthand for this is going to be !ref, and this is what it looks like. So here's a quick example. We create a subnet, and for the properties VPC ID, we reference the VPC that was created from before. And so what we get out of it is the VPC ID. As I said, when you reference a resource, it returns the physical ID. So super important to know. Now, how do we get other information out of resources, right? Because if we only can get the ID information out of the resources using a ref, then we're pretty much stuck for some things. So we can use get@, and attributes can be attached to any resources you create. And so to basically get a list of all the resources and all the attributes that get exposed from these resources, you will have to look in the documentation. So let's do a quick look at it just to get an idea. So if we look at our EC2 instance and we go to return values, we can see that there's a ref. So the ref will return the ID of that instance, okay? And then using the get attribute function, we're able to get the availability zone, the DNS name, the private IP, and so on. So all these things are exposed. So to know what attributes are exposed in each resource, you have to go to the resource and look at the documentation. Now, for example, if we want to get the AZ of an EC2 machine, we saw we could do it. Here is our resource block. So we have our EC2 instance with an image ID and an instance type. And we want to get the AZ out of it. For example, when we create an EBS volume, for this, we're going to create a new volume under resources, and we'll say the type is a EC2 volume. Condition if we had a condition from before. But the important thing here and there is that if you look at the properties, the size is 100 and the AZ is using the get attribute function, EC2 dot availability zone. So the EC2 instance is coming straight out of this name on the left hand side, and then the dot says it tells get attribute what we want to get out of it. So we want to get the availability zone. So this is quite a popular exam question as well. You know, how do we get this attribute of this resource? And the answer is use the get@. function. You have find and map, and we've seen this before. We use this find and map function, and the shorthand syntax is this. We have to specify the map name, the top level key, and the second level key. And so here is a quick summary. In this example, we were using the find and map function to find the image ID based on the region we were in and the type of architecture, 32 or 64 bits. Import value is to import values that have been exported as outputs in other templates. And for this, we'll use the import value function. So again, remember, when we import a value, we just give the import value name that was exported, and it should work just easy. Now for join, we haven't seen it yet, but we can join value with the delimiter. So this is the shorthand syntax. We should define join, we give the delimiter name, and then we provide a comma delimited list of values to make it slightly more concrete. To create the A:(B:)C string, we can use the join function with the colon, and then we specify A, B, C on the right hand side. So this is, if you do programming, this is quite a common function in programming. So just know about it. Sometimes maybe you'll be asked, hey, what is the output of this interesting function? And if you use join, well, you know that you have to just put the colons in between the A and the B and the B and the C. Okay, finally, we have the sub function. The sub function is a shorthand for substitute. It's super handy. It allows you to substitute values within strings. And so you can use it with references or pseudo variables. And the string must contain this $sign and open with the variable name to do a substitution. So this is a bit obscure, but just remember sub does substitution, and it will totally make sense when you see it, if you see it in the exam, okay? Sub is to substitute values. Finally, conditions. Conditions is when we define, for example, a condition to only create the prod resources, and we can use a bunch of functions in there. And so the interesting functions we can use is and, equals, if, not, and or, and maybe others that will get added to CloudFormation over time. But that's all for the intrinsic functions you should use. You recognize a function is called intrinsic when there is this fn, colon, or when you have that little exclamation point before a name that represents a function. This is all you need to know for CloudFormation functions. I hope that was helpful, and I will see you in the next lecture.